Okay, I have with me here a piece of Bermuda Bay cardstock, and this is my card base that I've created right here, and I have some Bermuda Bay classic ink. So what I'm going to do is, using a Stampin' Sponge, I am going to sponge around my cardstock here. Now, because I don't want anything on the back, I am going to use some painter's tape. You can use Post-it notes, just to stick across the top so I don't get any ink on the back of my card. Okay, that will hold that down as well. Okay, so pouncing my sponge into my ink pad, I'm going to go off my cardstock first and gradually go on. That way any blotches of ink is going to come off first before it goes onto my cardstock, and then in a circular motion I'm going to go and sponge all my whole ink, my whole card front here, just around the edges, and I want to gradually get lighter as I go in towards the middle. So nice and dark around the outside and lighter towards the middle. Okay, now you can see what that looks like. Now I am just going to put a heat gun to it just to dry it off a bit, because we're going to do some embossing over the top of this. Okay, so let's stamp over the top of this. Now we're going to use something totally different to Christmas. I've got my Floral Essence stamp set here. So I'm going to use my large flower image, my small one, and this leaf image right here as well. Now I've also got this little tree sprig image here. This comes out of my Rooted for Nature stamp set. It's this little image here. Don't need it necessarily. If you don't have it, it's okay, but I just wanted a little bit of extra foliage in my this thing here. So I have my Bermuda Bay ink once again. I'm going to put my masking tape back down just to cover the top there. Okay, and I'm randomly going to start placing some of these images on the outside of my cardstock here. So, and there's no right or wrong way of doing this. It's just whatever works for you. So once again, I'm going to use my heat gun just to dry that off. And because we're going to do some heat embossing on the top of it, I'm going to use my powder bag just to remove any static. And before I go ahead and stamp my image, I'm just going to make sure that it's all nice and dry. So I've got my embossing powder here. I'm just going to put it all over the top here. Now you can see that it's sticking to some images there. That tells me that it's not fully dry. So I'm going to brush that off. I'm going to heat set that again to see if I can dry it some more. So I'm going to run my powder tool over it again. Sprinkle on some embossing powder just to make sure it's nice and dry. That looks like it's perfect now. Oops. Yep, that's all nice and dry. Okay, so now we're ready to stamp our greeting. So I've got my embossing buddy once again. We're going to stamp this in Versamarker ink. And my greeting comes from the Everything Festive stamp set. I'm using the Merry and Bright. So I'm going to ink this up. And I'm going to stamp this smack in the middle. I'm going to sprinkle on some gold embossing powder, then heat set that till that melts. Okay, so I want to add some extra gold elements to this, so I'm going to prime my embossing buddy again towards the bottom. This time I am using this little image here from my Elfie stamp set, and I'm going to stamp this along the bottom to create a border. Sprinkle on some gold embossing powder, then heat set that till that melts. And there's our card once it's all finished. I've also gone ahead and I've created another card. They're exactly the same, but this time I've used Coastal Cabana cardstock. So why don't you try creating your card using different colours of cardstock. Thanks again, and I'll catch you in our next video.
Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.